All right, that was fun. All right, so let's see. Who would like to? I think was it Amanda? Somebody had their hand up next. Now I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay, so I saw Bob and Lorena as well. I can't remember who had their hand up first in the previous session, but let's do Amanda, then we'll do you guys. Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
I know you're on the beach there, but. Oh, Lorena's making tea.
All right, can you see?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, so the theme that I chose for my website is Astra. Oh, sorry. My name is Amanda Harris Altice. This is my website presentation for DM56. The theme I chose was Astra, and I really like this theme, but I find that like when you're looking for themes, everything looks really cool and fun, and then when you go to do it, you're like, it doesn't look quite as cool and fun. So, you know, and that has to do with the pro version, and then, you know, the photos they use. And anyway, so I actually found through this theme some pre-made templates, which I'd never really used before. So I kind of found a few page layouts. So this home page here and a couple of my other pages are template pages. So I also used a page builder to make my pages. I used Beaver Builder. You can see that plugin up here. I've used this plugin before on a previous site and really liked just the way that you can kind of place things on a page and put things together. Like this is a row, and the way you can like kind of put different pictures together, and the way that you can kind of just put different options to, you know, make a variety of different layouts.
Is this a free version?
Yeah, everything I used was free. And I realized that the version of like Beaver Builder that I was using is a paid version, so it has a lot more features, but the base still had a good amount of stuff. And once I kind of like, I found the templates very helpful because it gave me like ideas and like showed me, oh, I can actually do the page layout like this, you know? So it gave me a few more ideas of how to like interact and build the site and put things together.
So now I can ask, so,
yeah.
So the templates, are they part of the theme or Beaver Builder?
Part of the theme, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how I got to them. So I went into like, if you go into like the documentation, they had like a link to a bunch of like pre-made templates, and you could actually pull like an entire website if you wanted to. They had like entire, so I just chose like one or two templates to use for just a couple pages. But yeah, you could do like a whole, they had like 5-6 pages that you could just use for your website. So if you really have no idea what to do and need some inspiration or something, then I think it's a really good place to start, especially because it is free. They did have paid versions, of course, but they had some good, decent free versions. So I thought it was a really cool thing to, you know, because I had, instead of just doing rows, it makes it a little more interesting. So my about page was a template page, and it allowed me to have like the pictures and to add in like the header here. My theme wouldn't allow me to edit anything at the top of the page. All I could do was like, I had a icon up here and I took it out, and you can kind of orientate like your title and your menu, but that's the only thing. I couldn't get the colors to change. I could change this font size. It was kind of weird that this particular part of the page was stuck. And I was in the blog page, was kind of stuck with the theme, but everything else I was able to kind of build. So that, and then the blog page, You know, John helped me work on that quite a bit. So I got the comments. The comments are still there. And I found this really, really cool slider plugin that I liked. So I made two different slideshows with it. This slider plugin is used on a lot of those sites you see where you comment. It has like the big, huge image at the top for the header, and it has like a button in the middle. This is also free, and it's a really cool, I think I'm gonna use this like going forward, because the free version is got a lot of stuff in it.
And what's it called?
It's called, hold on, I have it up
And it's
here.
it's a plugin called Smart Slider?
Yeah, yeah, Smart Slider, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so I really liked that slider option. And you can, like, it has a lightbox feature. So yeah, that's my blog page. And then I have like, I was trying to build my website as kind of like an idea for a portfolio starting. And I'm realizing like, I just have class projects so far since I'm kind of new to all this. So I'm hoping this summer to have some time to kind of build and work on my own projects to kind of build a portfolio. So I just stuck in some of my class stuff and some of my photography just for a little bit of variety of stuff. And like this page layout was another one of the templates. So I just loaded in all my pictures and stuff here. And then my photo gallery, I made into 3 pages. And I forgot, somebody yesterday, it was the person who did the husky page. I think she used the same plugin. It's the,
Yeah, oh yeah, the one to make the
mod,
tiles there of the,
yeah, the Modella or
what was that
Modula or
called?
whatever.
Modula, okay.
Yeah. And I really liked the text over the photos like this and the way that it kind of animated the line. And I went back and forth about how to display it on my page.
Is that text, did you do that in Photoshop or is that part of the,
It's part of the plugin.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and she was saying, when she mentioned the social media ones, I was like, oh, I think I'm using the same plugin. So you can actually like have it pop up with more information. So you can even remove the text if you want to. But like it has the cool lightbox feature to it, which is kind of nice.
Which plugin was that with the photos that you could have the writing on top?
It's this plugin here, Modula. And it's just built in, and you just type it, you go and like rename your images, and then it puts whatever you have on there. And then I've got, I actually made multiple pages. It put pages at the bottom, which is kind of nice. And this is another one that I couldn't use the template on for some reason, but I think it's fine. And then I have 3rd page. And then this is the slider plugin that I used again. And I don't know, I left it really huge. I don't know how big it's showing to you guys.
It's big, yeah.
Yeah. So just to kind of play around with it and see what it kind of does. And this one I didn't do the autoplay, but I just have a scroller here. So I kind of like I like big artwork just in general. And I kind of like the look of this, but I just was kind of trying stuff out just because, you know, it's what we're supposed to do. And then I've got my contact page here, and I was able to do like a gradient header and put the text in here. And then I added in my suggestion form here to the bottom. And this like location thing was part of this particular page template that I used. Is a contact page. So I was able to go in and edit a little bit of the code and add in the suggestion form here, and then move this down a little bit too. So it's kind of cool to do that. And then my sitemap. And I just left it real simple because I think it's just easier that way. And then as far as my plugins go, I have the smart slider that I mentioned, and the Beaver Builder, and then the starter templates is the one that I mentioned that I got the templates from. So I guess it is like, even though it's through the theme, it's actually a plugin of preloaded stuff. So, and it has like a library, like I said, that you can pull all kinds of stuff from. So I think that's basically it. This was fun. I enjoyed doing this, but there's so many different layers to changing stuff, and like, it just, it's interesting, like learning how everything interacts with each other.
Great photos.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering about the template, so how that interacted with the theme. So it's probably a plugin that comes with the theme that probably is made to work well with that theme.
Yeah, there's a few different options. I started out with Elementor, because I have experience with using Visual Builder or Visual Composer. That's it. And on one of the other sites that I'm an admin on, and then the other one is Beaver Builder. So I was like, I'm going to try something different, you know. So I tried out Elementor at first, which was a really cool plugin, but it just didn't work well with this theme. So I looked up to see what worked well with this theme, and Beaver Builder was one of the ones. So I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and use this one. But I didn't have experience with the light version, so it had a little bit less features to it, I guess. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thanks.
Very cool. What kind of questions you guys have?
I have a question. I like the big artworks, but how it look like in a smartphone?
It just kind of stacks. Because I tested it. Let me go to this one. And then if I resize, it just kind of does like that.
Oh.
So this would basically be what your phone would kind of look like. Might scale a little bit smaller. So the responsiveness is pretty nice for this. And then I forgot if I tested this one with the sliders. So it just kind of makes it a little smaller like that. But I guess the arrow went away. That's weird. Oops.
Did it go away, or is it hot? Is it?
I don't know. It might be hiding. I may not have QC'd this on the small size because I just kind of put this in last minute yesterday. That's weird.
No, looks great.
It works really nice on my phone.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
the pictures are gorgeous.
Pictures are beautiful. Yeah, I love them.
The only thing I might suggest is at the bottom of your page, have a link back to the top or a link to your home page or something. There's no menu on the bottom. And because it's on a phone, especially your home page runs really long.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, that's like a minor thing, but it's just something I noticed when I went to the home site.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's good
But
feedback.
it looks really nice.
I always like that feature on websites too. So it's weird.
Yeah, that's not hard to put back in.
The top link. That's fairly.
The top link, yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, it does look pretty good on the phone. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I like the big giant pictures.
Yeah, yeah, I love big artwork. And it's interesting how it's scaled up because these are all from my phone. So I was trying to find like some recent SLR pictures, but I couldn't find anything that I liked. And I was like, I'm just going to put these because they're just.
You know, the lenses on the phone cameras have gotten really good in the last couple of years. They're just getting better and better. I mean.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of crazy, the quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very spoiled.
Yeah.
Real nice. Nice work. All right. Yay.
Hey!
Another great site. These are really fun. Really fun. And I like learning about new plugins too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next? All right, I saw Lorena. Sorry, Bob, you can go after her. Lorena, can you share your screen?
Yeah, sure. Mm, 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 mm.
Oh, let me mute myself as the construction next door is.
Okay. This web page is about organic soap. It's a simple web page. I have slideshows here. And this page is about lavender soap. The suggestion page. A gallery. What else? I made a blog, and the idea is tell news about soap in the blog.
Are you a soap maker?
I used to. Yeah. I used to work for another person making soap, organic soap.
It's a big market now, you know.
Yeah.
We're all washing our hands.
Yeah. And well, I have a sitemap, and I had a lot of problem doing the sitemap, and I decided to make it with HTML because it was easy for me. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my team, it was the 20, what is the name? Let me see the name. This one, the 2017. I didn't use so much plugins because I really like the theme. I don't know, it was fine. I'm gonna show you the plugins.
Did you use a plugin for that slideshow?
Yeah, I used the NetGen gallery, and I tried to use the yellow pencil. That it's a useful tool, but I didn't like the fonts on it, so I keep the Helvetica that the theme offer, you know. Well, and I have a lot of problem with the sitemap because I try to use a plugin, this one.
Oh, I see the Google one up there.
Yeah, but the Google one, it's different. How can I explain this in English? It's this plugin, it's about for people that want to, it's a tool to show your web page easily. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it says here that it's primarily about search engine optimization, and so using the sitemap in as an SEO tool, which makes a lot of sense. But I don't know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I made some research, and this Google HTML sitemap is not to build your internal sitemap. It's a tool to the
it's a tool to help the search engines find all your pages, is what it is.
Yeah.
And then probably has a little SEO trickery in there, but yeah, that's essentially what it is. That's okay.
Well, the easy way to do the sitemap was with HTML.
Nice to know, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, And I choose this theme because I really wanted to show the product look great, you know? Yeah. And that's it.
And it's in Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, because it was easy to me
Yeah, that's okay.
write Spanish.
I like it.
And I know that you wanted to see the structure. But
Right.
let's talk about soap.
Is
I could buy
there
some.
a plug-in that you could get that would have a translate button on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So that you not only have an extra plug-in, but you'd also have the facility to translate for somebody.
Yep.
Ah, and what, do you know what is the name of the plugin?
I
Called-
don't, you'd have to search for it though.
Google Translate.
Ah,
Actually, that would be a really easy thing to put on the site.
yeah. Thank you.
It
And
looks
if you-
great. It looks really nice on a phone.
Oh, good.
Good.
It's a
Yeah.
beautiful
It's
site.
very clean. Yeah.
Very
I
clean,
guess I know it's a
very-
soap site, but it's very clean. Get it? No.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
really like your use of white space, and your
Uh-huh.
images are really nice.
beautiful.
They're really pretty.
Yeah, they are. They're like
And I
artwork.
like your fonts too. They're nice. They read well on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well,
Nice.
yeah, and that's it.
And I like to buy my soap from a soap maker. So I get all my soap from the Oregon Soap Company.
Hmm. Well, I have more time now, and I was thinking maybe I can sell some soap, you know?
Well, you know, a lot of people are washing their hands these days.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I haven't washed my hands yet. So except for this morning. Okay, well, this is great. It's a nice, it's very clean soap site. Looks good. Yeah, try that translator. But there's probably a bunch besides the Google one. You know, Google owns the world, so their plugin is probably pretty well developed because Google Translate has been around for a while. You could try a few translate plugins to see which one is more accurate. Right?
Okay.
Because they're all going to be artificial intelligence. So translation is not a simple thing. So, and I'm pretty sure there are many translate plugins from different places. But like Bob said, Google Translate is probably one of the best ones. So I would try that, but you might want to see what else is there, try a couple, and see the differences in how they translate. That might be instructive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know, some may work better than others.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
But I would guess that Google Translate would be pretty good. I mean, considering, you know, all the others. Not that it would be perfect. Sometimes the translation doesn't work exactly right, you know.
Maybe if the language doesn't flow well, then maybe you could go in and change that part of it.
I don't know if that's possible with a Google Translate type plugin. I think it would just automatically translate the page. Bob, do you know? Have you have any experience in that?
Yeah, it does allow you to change it after you've read it and said, I want to improve it.
Oh, nice. Now, if you do that, though, so my question would be, is it dynamic or, like if it's dynamic in real time and you click on the button and it translates it, that's one thing. But if it creates a page that you can then edit, that's a different thing. You see what I'm saying? So I would assume it will be kind of more dynamic. So you just press the button and it it translates whatever it's presented with, right? And flows that into a new, the same template. That would be the standard way they would work. If it's going to allow you to go in and change something, that would indicate to me that it's got to save something, which would indicate that it wouldn't be dynamic in real time, which means that if you did updates to that page, you would then have to go in and do it again and change it for the updates, versus dynamic, which might not be exactly perfect, but might be pretty good translation, and then you don't have to think about it. So probably some trade-offs between how easy you want your site to be so you don't have to really keep translating and changing it versus, you know, using it to create a translated page that's really much better in the translation, because then you can go in and edit it and save it. So I would assume that there's a trade-off there in how these things work. And that would be, you know, so depending on how good the initial translation is, you could make that decision. I haven't used the translation plugins, but that would be interesting to explore.
I tried it on my own site, and there were, you know, maybe half a dozen words or placements that needed changing, but other than that, it was pretty good. And you could modify it after the fact.
Cool. With what language? Spanish and English?
Spanish. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. Any other questions, Brother Rena? Okay. Yay. Thank you. Another great presentation. This is fun. This is fun. Okay. I think Bob was next, or was there somebody? I think you were next.
I used the theme 2020. And pretty slow in loading. I wanted to mention two things that came up before. One is a tool that I used. Well, there's a couple of tools that I used, but one is a Google Translate. The other is a backup tool that promises the world. And it is called Backup Guard. And every day it's been backing up the entire site to a Dropbox. Everybody hearing me at all?
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Yes,
you.
we are. Is
Yeah.
that a plug? Is that a plug-in?
So it's a plug. It's right here.
Right, but it's a plug-in.
Backup Guard is a plugin, and it every day, every 24 hours, if you, I mean, you can program it, and it's automatically backing up a full backup to Dropbox, and it will restore if you need to. But I think you're charged $50 or so to migrate it to any WordPress site.
That was my next question.
Yep. So there's the hook, but it'll at least back up for you for free and restore for free to the same site. So that's something I discovered. Anyway, this site is all about really my portfolio as an artist. I do printmaking, and this 2020 website gave me the opportunity to change enough that I needed to. It's a pretty boilerplate website, a bio and an artist statement. Here's the Google Translate, which gives you the option for as many languages as you want.
Look at all those languages.
Right here. Oh, there's many more. I just chose about 10 of them or so, and a visit counter if you needed it.
How does it work? I mean,
The visit. Oh, this site?
Yeah, how do you just click on the other language and then it turns it into German or something?
Here goes Japanese.
Okay, wow, beautiful.
And here's Arabic. So I should switch back to English, I guess.
Dutch.
Mm-hmm. Dutch, we have Dutch, yes.
What did you use for that?
Google Translate.
Okay. Is it a plugin?
It's a plugin. Uh-huh. Yep. And the counter and the button back to the top. So I have about three different ways to show the whole site. One is the this drop down here. The others, if you hit portfolio, it was started as a blank page, but I basically just changed the permalinks to more informative sites, and they will get to the site that way. And the third is with the menu over here, which opens up the portfolio, but tells me all the pages involved. Portfolio, these are all different techniques in printmaking, many monotypes, some etching, some dry point, a variety of tools, some discussion. I used this site, what's it called? Modula site, and it gives just a little chunk of the picture, but opens up into a nice vertically accepting platform of a slideshow.
Nice.
That moves things along pretty well.
So that's the one that Amanda used too,
Yeah,
right?
the Modula
Yeah.
site. And it gives you the option for, putting wording on here, or you can change the title down here. It's pretty flexible and also in terms of sizes and things like that. This terrorist series just describes my experience being shaken down at airports for the last 40 years as a terrorist. And so as an artist, I wanted to pursue what my face looked like, and I did a bunch of self-portraits, which in different media, I put into this same Modula gallery. And I like different, working in different media in printmaking. So
You look very dangerous.
I am really at airports. So I wouldn't sit next to anybody who looks like me on an airplane if we get back to airplanes at all, because I've been shaken down at airports all over the world.
What do you mean by shaken down?
Oh, strip searched, taken into a separate room and interrogated. Because I looked like, you may not remember, the Baader Meinhof gang, the Red Army.
Oh, I
Brigade.
remember the Baader Meinhof guy. Yeah, it goes way back. Yeah. That's like the
Palestinian,
70s or something, isn't it? That's
Palestinian Liberation Front.
Yeah.
And then more recently, Al Qaeda. And I've been aging, of course, as these terrorists are aging that they haven't caught again.
Yeah.
We lost him for I don't know how long in the Atlanta airport.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Boardwalk images that I've done also.
Nice.
Little pieces that come up as full images.
Nice.
And the last page is of portfolios. This one I wanted to have people start reading before it popped up. So there's a little bit of a delay because it discusses, this is what I go through portraiture and how I decide what expression I want, or what position of hands or the corner of the mouth or something that explains best what a person's doing or describing or thinking about, or who the person is. Sometimes there's just a little piece of the face that tells me a lot about the personality of an individual. So that's my mood
Nice
series.
work. Yeah.
Exhibition history is more, this is a long scroll, just boilerplate on what I've done. It's sort of an ego trip more than anything, as typically exhibition history is. And a quick trip back to the top. Typical comment form, and a suggestion form and a sitemap. Get that going, yeah. So that was the sitemap was a little wonky, but I think it's part of the theme itself.
Okay.
There's one, I just wanted to mention one other absolutely simple plugin that was called Remove Footer Credit. And it took out all the junk down here. And all you have to do is type in what you don't want and put in what you do want. So I took over their copyright 2020 and put Bob Rocco instead of the theme name and all of the junk down there. So it's a really
Oh,
neat
that's
tool.
great.
So it's like a 2-line tool. One line is what do you want out and what do you want in. So that was a
And Bob, what do you call that again?
You'll never believe it. Remove footer credit is the name.
Remove footer credit. Okay.
Right. Yeah, so it's a wonderful little tool
Thanks.
that worked fine for what I needed. Somewhere in here.
Technically thinking, it might be that your theme says you're not
There it is.
supposed to do that, but whatever.
Yeah. I was ignoring what they were supposed to do. So it ends up under tools, not in any other spot, but it ends up in the tool page as remove tool credit. The other problem I had was the central, the fact that I couldn't space out my writing as much, and I took it back into Classic Editor and tried a bunch of things, including working with Anne, who can usually solve everything. But I'm living with that. But the other problem is with lists, and I had to toggle back and forth, especially when I did a cut and paste, toggle back and forth between Classic Editor and the block editor to try to get lists straightened out. I probably spent 3 times as much time doing that rather than just retyping it in the block editor. But I learned a lot in the process. Oh, and one other tool that I use to change, there's a nice tool that changes fonts, specifically called Google Fonts Typography. And you can specifically say what font you want in your H2 header or in your footer on the left or the right. And you can specifically pick font sizes and sometimes spacing and italicized and color just with this Google Fonts Typography plugin. And it was basically learning as much as I could about all this because I've never done this stuff before in web design, but it was fun to do.
This is great. Okay, let me mark this down.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Your thing that identifies how many views the page has gotten. What?
Yep.
I have 2 questions about that. What plugin is it, and can you, by any chance, not include yourself as the administrator?
You'd have to go in the, I briefly looked in the menu of the counter. I think it was called counter.
Just called counter?
Let me look.
Advanced page counter, down, down, down.
Advanced page visit counter, and under view details, I think you can reset it, but I'm not sure.
Advanced page counter.
Yeah.
You can also remove the posting on the page if you go into edit, and then it'll show up that you can see what the count is, but it doesn't show up to everybody else if you don't want it there.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, I was just thinking about it when I was looking at it and wondering if you can, I'll check into it. Let's see if you can not include yourself as the administrator, or maybe not even include the IP address of your computer. So like if you're looking at your own page to see
Well, you could,
like it doesn't.
yeah, you could also try front loading your statistics by leaving it in. Every time you add another visit.
Okay. Yeah.
I suspect you could adjust it, but I haven't played with it yet.
Okay. Well, that's neat though. That's good that you have that.
Yep.
It's down there on your dashboard. If you look below soliloquy, you see keep going down, down, down on your dashboard. Down, 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 down. There it is.
Here it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that tells you about,
Your stats page.
Cool. It gives you a stats page. Yeah.
yeah, this is all free too.
So I don't know if there's settings in there. I haven't looked at it to figure out, because I'm using the same one
Yeah,
to figure
there
out if you
are.
can reset it.
Okay.
Here's the setting.
And also disclude yourself, which would be nice.
That's what, yeah.
So you can change I changed the widget styling because it was so prominent.
Okay.
I found
And
that if you go into each page's edit, you can take it off the pages, and then it puts it, the stat for that page in the, when you pull up the page to edit, you can see the stats.
Cool.
yeah, and you can do today's counts too, which is fun.
Right.
Okay,
Nice.
so that's all I had to say about that.
That's great.
Beautiful.
That's really great. Comments, questions?
Mm. So, Bob, you were not happy with the width of the paragraphs of the writing.
Right.
So is there anything, since you brought that up a couple of days ago, have you been working on that, or?
Oh yeah, we work. Ann and I worked on it a lot.
We tried to yellow pencil it, it wouldn't work.
I
Yeah.
also,
The theme probably wants that.
yeah, I also toggle through about 5 other themes, and they all kept this centralized location. But with the size of my images, they also translated well from the phone to the tablet to the large screen. So I can live with that.
Mhm. So you decided to accept it?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the name of the team?
Repeat the name of, oh, this theme is 2020.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have, it looks really great on my phone. My only suggestion on your sitemap, under under Boardwalk, it has your homepage as Bob Rockefine Printmaking. You might write -home or home.
Oh, if I could.
Because when we go look through the homepage, it's not there because it doesn't say home.
Oh,
I
right.
know it's a really minor point.
No, I agree. And this, for some reason, this sitemap, I'd probably have to create another sitemap because this sitemap doesn't allow me to change anything.
Can
I
you
think-
change it with yellow pencil?
No, it's part of the
What
site map.
Yeah,
It's just taking the title, I assume.
right. That's what
Yeah.
it's doing.
So you can
Sure.
edit your title. Right?
Yeah, he could edit his title on
Yeah.
his homepage,
Simple fix.
and then it would take. Yeah, oh, that's a good idea. Duh.
Well, yeah, because that's all it's doing is grabbing the title.
Oh,
I have the same problem, and I didn't want that subtitle thing on my homepage to be that. If you scroll down, you'll see where it's picking it up.
so John, you meant changing this name right here?
No, I meant the title of the page. So if you go into the edit page,
It's
And change
picking
the
up, if you
title.
scroll down, it's picking up that next H1 that when you,
I'm not sure it's picking up the H1. I think it's picking up the title. Not
No,
the-
it's the title up in the tab. So he has
Right.
to go to
So
his
you go to the
appearance
edit page and you change the title.
in your theme appearance.
No, on the page itself.
Well,
Oh.
here's the edit page itself.
Okay, so what editor are you in? Oh, you're in the block editor. Okay, so you need to change the title. So if you scroll, let me see, where's it listed? Click on, oh, it's on document on the right. Scroll down, is there a place to change the title? No, I mean on the right side.
Oh,
I'm looking for title. Isn't listing the title. Scroll up then. Where's the yeah, block is probably gonna click on block. Let me just see if they've got anything under. Yeah, it's not gonna do it. It's the document title. What's on your do you have the classic editor installed here by any chance?
it's not. It's there, but not installed.
Oh, okay. All you need to do is change what's called the title, not the headline. So There's
I can
gotta
go.
be, what am I looking for here? Why did they make this so hidden?
Because
Not
my
bad.
sitemap builder looks at the page name, and because you're setting it to a static page, it picks up that.
Well, actually, not exactly. WordPress takes the title and makes it into the page name. It's all based on the title. So on the left, in that menu on the left there, yeah, what do you got there? Click on the plus. Okay, it's not a content block. It's a title. What are the what's under the eye? The little circle with the eye up, up, up. To go back up, 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 over. Yeah, that over the eye. What's under the eye? Oh, that's all.
So,
Where the heck is the title? What's under the pencil icon? With that, what do the other icons show?
oh, well, this is just editor.
No, edit.
settings.
And what's under the 3 lines?
That's
That's your okay.
paragraph.
That's paragraphs. I hate this editor. Let's see. Oh, I can't click on it. Duh. What's under the gear? Is that some kind of settings?
That'll just turn your document to
It's
black.
got to be right here. Let me just look at this for a second. Page attributes. It's under. It would be a page attribute. What's under page attributes? No.
Well, how about just going to Classic Editor and doing it there?
Yeah, it's easier in the Classic Editor. What are the 3 dots on the right-hand side up at the top? Yeah, that's.
The way you're looking at the image.
No, that's not it. Okay. What if you click on the Start Writing or Type to choose a block? If you click on that, we'll just open up a block. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not what you want. Yeah, sorry. Don't open up a block.
I'll do it in Classic Editor. That's all right.
Okay. Yeah, it's literally what's called the title, not the
Okay.
headline. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that's where the plugin is picking up those names.
Mm-hmm.
And then WordPress would take the title also and throw that into the name of the file and the URL.
Yep.
All right. So any other questions for Bob? Comments?
Very beautiful.
I
Yeah,
have a
all right.
question.
Works very well.
The font that you use for your titles is the default font?
Is I
You mean
used
the headline for you mean the headline, not the title? Right?
Yeah,
Helvetica Neue.
but it's the default font that the team give you?
No, it wasn't. Let's see where we are. Oh, it'd be under customize. So customize gives you this Google Fonts here.
You talk about it. Yeah.
Right. And you can change the font family of a variety of things, your headings, your buttons, and in advanced settings. You have additional things to do with typography.
Good. Thank you.
So that's where it sits. Okay.
All right, nice.
Thank you.
Hug goes wild. Thank you, Bob. That was great. I can stop the sharing if you'd like. Sorry about the banging. I've been trying to mute myself. They're banging a lot next door.
Can't really hear it.
Oh, good, because I can. Is there anybody else who would like to do a presentation? I think maybe Clara, you already did yours, right? Or did you not? Let me, where's my notes?
Not yet. I found a mistake.
Okay. Well, we have I think I have a meeting. I think I have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, right? At 2.
2 to 4, it says, I think.
Okay. Well, we might not have to go 2 to 4, but I've got 2 scheduled. Yes. So if you'd like, you can do it then or not. Doesn't matter. Let's see. It's almost 4 o'clock, so we've been going for quite a while. So I'm thinking maybe we should end pretty soon. Are there any important questions that people want to ask before we end? And Debbie.
I wanted to point something out. I don't know if it's going to be that easy to show because I took away what the problem was that I had.
You want to give it a try? Yeah, give it a try.
I discovered something in yellow pencil that that I didn't know about. Let me just look at one of the pages that I modified a lot. Where's my pages? Okay, well, like, let me just go back for a second. Oh yeah, I modified, oh yeah, I just realized I'm not sharing. I guess it would help if I shared my screen for a second, right? Let me
Yeah.
do that. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Move other stuff out of the way here. Oh. Okay, so when I edited this page a couple of times, doing a couple things. It's taken a minute to load, but I modified a bunch of things in yellow pencil, and I would just do something like I would choose something, and
I
I would.
have to go. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.
Anyway, I had a number of edits. Oh, I know what it was that I did. I created this drop shadow around the banner, and I did it first on the home page, and I was having trouble getting the border radius right because it already had a border radius and it wasn't working right. And so I had a few different things that I did with yellow pencil, and I found that it kept sticking to the first edit that I did. And
So-
even though it was, I thought that things were not saving, I clicked save up here. Well, I found out that when you say that you want to save something in yellow pencil, that it can be found later in your dashboard. And I didn't even know that. I mean, I just clicked on the word yellow pencil and found it here. There were a whole bunch of styles in here and customizations, and I never knew they were there before. And all I had to do was delete them.
Ah, so this is a yellow pencil thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I did was, like, for those of us, I guess I just wanted to show it because I know a number of people are all using it. I had, every time I customized something and I liked the way it was, I saved it into the customized section of the, under appearance, and just saved the CSS. But if I had an earlier version, sometimes it would just keep the earlier version, and I didn't know why, and I didn't know where to find it. So I finally found it when I clicked on yellow pencil and I clicked on customizations. There was a whole bunch of versions in here.
Ooh,
And it was taking the first one. For every page I modified that where I said save it. So I didn't think that it was saving anything in the free version, but evidently it was saving the free version. It was saving the
It
first
saves pretty much everything but color and fonts. And you also have to be really careful that you have, see where it says right below the X, it says animals page. If you pull that down, it does it globally. And so if you want it on everything, you have to come down to global.
Right, I had some issues with that in the other way around when I wanted something just on a specific thing, and I wound up having to create a like on my homepage, I wound up having to create a class for or an ID for something where I wanted it just on that page. So that's a whole different thing that I wanted this drop shadow, this rounded corners and the drop shadow to be just on this image and not all the other images on my site. So I had to, for some reason, I guess it was putting them, it was putting it globally for all the images that were in a paragraph or something. So I had to create a class in CSS. Anyway, that's a different thing, but I just wanted to show about the customizations area in yellow pencil because I didn't know about it before and it took me a while to find it. So just wanted to show that.
Nice. And for those who don't know, because you mentioned the round border radius, the rounded corners are made by the border radius property in CSS.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what Debbie's talking about when she says border radius is the rounded corners.
Yeah, but I had actually done that when I created this image. I had done that when I created the image in Illustrator, and I saved it as a PNG file with transparency. So I was surprised that when I tried to create just the drop shadow, it was putting it around a box as if it was saved as a file without transparency. It was weird. So I had to add additional border radius settings with yellow pencil.
Interesting.
If I didn't want to go back to Illustrator and add the drop shadow in the image.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie. That's useful.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we'll end. Now, I'm hoping to see some of you tomorrow, but the semester is just about over. So if for some reason I don't see you tomorrow, have a fantastic summer. And don't forget to take more digital media courses if you can. Oh, Katharina, I see your lips moving, but I had muted everybody a while ago when things were
well, but will we see you next week if we want to transfer our website?
Yeah, so, yeah, get in contact with me on that. We'll have to go over that.
So you wouldn't do it with all of us together, like in a Zoom
No, I
session?
can't. It's every case is individual.
I see.
Because it depends on the site you're moving it to, and yeah, it's not simple.
Okay.
In fact, I think I showed you some step-by-step directions. Was it this class? Maybe in a session or two beforehand. I think do you remember I showed you the directions to do that, and it wasn't simple.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So we have to do that. So yeah, that's going to have to be done. I'll have to do that with each person.
Okay.
And hopefully there won't be any problems. Hopefully.
Okay.
By the way, I just wanted to mention, I think it was it Bob who's talking about the backup plugin?
Yeah.
Any kind of backup scheme, this is just in general about backups. Any kind of backup scheme, you always want to test a complete restore. Now, I don't mean like here on this site right now, but in the future, if you're using whatever backup, oh, that's right, they charge you. You can't test it. Yeah. Well, generally speaking,
they charge you for transferring to another site, but
they don't charge you for restoring from a backup. Well, actually, then a good test of any backup system is, what problems do you hit when you try to do a restore, and that's regardless of whatever the backup system is. It's good to test your restore process, because having backups, if the restore doesn't work, is something you don't want to find out at the last second when you need to back something, when you need to restore something. So it's always a good idea, if only to know the process of how to do a real restore, because even if it's like, Time Machine with a Macintosh or something, it's a good idea to understand how the restore process works. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. I see. Okay, let me close that. Okay, so I hope to see you all tomorrow, and my guess is tomorrow will be a short session unless there's a lot of presentations. And if you can't make it, I wish you all well. And yeah, so don't worry about the migration. Get in contact with me. I'll leave your sites up for a while so we can work on that separately.
It doesn't have to be next week.
Okay, good.
No,
No.
I thought that was your schedule.
No, what I'm saying is I need a little bit of a break after this semester. So next week is
that's
going to be a little bit of a break for me because it's been a really
That's
dull
fine. Yeah.
semester. But maybe the week after that would be
Yeah.
the
Whenever.
time.
See you
Doesn't
tomorrow.
So and I'll send out a closing email when the semester's over with a message like, if you want to have your site moved, then this is what we'll do. Contact.
Okay.
The sites were great. You guys are great. It looks like you guys have learned a few things, and that's
Yes.
the point of things.
Yes.
Experimentation, learning.
Great.
At the very least, when you go to create a new site somewhere else, you'll already know some of the pitfalls, some of the things you might want to check out, some of the themes you might want to try or avoid. And
Well,
so
I actually have a question because, because of the COVID, we were allowed to take this class again. Do you think it's worth taking it again?
I don't think you need to if you've already taken it and you kind of, learned a little bit.
Uh-huh.
They're really relaxing everything with the COVID, everything.
Yeah.
Is being relaxed.
Yeah.
What is your social media class this next semester?
That's going to be the second half of next semester.
What is it though?
It will look at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, the basic stuff, and also not just those platforms, but also just talking about marketing and social media in general. It's about personal marketing. Marketing yourself, LinkedIn, as well as some of the platforms. And quite frankly, I haven't taught that before. It's been taught by Julia. I understand she did a really good job on it when she taught it before. It's only been offered once or twice before. It's one of the new classes. When Wendy Norris and I, way back some time ago, envisioned creating some new classes, we created this one. When I say created, I mean got the curriculum through the whole bureaucratic nightmare of a process to get a new course approved.
Wow.
Not building the actual course, but being able to build the course. In other words, in the community college system, there's a whole large number of hoops you have to jump through to create a class. It's a kind of a deal. So so we envisioned a few new classes. So this was one of them, and the social media class was another one. We had a beginning coding class, which was the third one, which never really it didn't make it for a variety of reasons. And then what was the fourth one? There was a fourth one. We wanted the next ones planned are a UI UX, user interface experience, user interface design, a UX UI, and a search engine optimization class. We will definitely do the UX UI class in the near future, and accessibility was the other one that I couldn't remember. We'll be doing an accessibility class in the near future. I'm still working on whether or not to incorporate SEO into the social media class because they kind of go together. All these new classes are 8-week classes, by the way. That's the new model for our new digital media courses. We're shifting everything. Well, not shifting everything, but any new classes that are created, you'll notice are 8-week courses because we're moving to that 8-week cycle of splitting instead of having a semester-long 16-week class, splitting into 8-week segments makes a lot of sense given the population of people that take our classes, because you may have noticed in this class and other digital media classes that the demographics are not exactly a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds who are just out of high school. Digital media classes are a little different because we're what's called a CTE program, Career Technical Education. The CTE programs generally have a different population than people that take English and math and they want to transfer to UC or CSU, and they're very, they're early on in their life and in their career. And not that we don't have those students in digital media, but we also have lots of seasoned people who have have done some things.
Thank you.
And they want to brush us on some skills. They want to just add to their, you know, professional portfolio. They want to advance in a job they've already had. They're not necessarily looking to just get a 4-year degree right now. Maybe they've already done that. Start a business, that kind of stuff. So in the CTE programs and in the digital media program, we're looking at trying to focus more on the shorter courses so that you don't have to sit through a semester-long course to get, you know, 8 weeks of skills, because you already know some things, you know what I mean? So we're trying to segment a little more, make it more modular. And so that's why this is an 8-week course, and our other new courses are and will be 8-week courses. I think it's going to work okay. So next semester, for example, the first half of the semester would be WordPress. The second half would be the social media. So thinking that some people would take both of them or one before the other and so forth. And of course, it wasn't envisioned everything was going to be online. We thought that these would be like, oh, they're going to take this class Monday at 3 o'clock, and then the next one will be Monday at 3 o'clock for the second half of the semester. But things are all a little wonky right now. So so we're working on that. Yeah, so the social media course would be like another 8-week. And I'm not gonna, if it were face-to-face, it would be 1 3-hour session a week, because face-to-face, you know, with everybody driving to place and everything, it's more efficient in a sense to meet once a week. Online, I think I'll probably do something like this, where maybe we'll have 2 or 3 or 4 sessions a week, you know, not going 3 hours each session. This session's long just because we're at the end and we're doing a lot of presentations, but generally speaking, I think limiting sessions to an hour, hour and a half is a little easier on folks, and having them more frequently than having like a long 3-hour. So I think you'll see more changes in that respect to the online courses in the fall. It was only very recently announced that if you missed it, we are going to be primarily online in the fall at Cabrillo. So that original PDF of the schedule of classes that they put out, several weeks ago, that's already outdated. And virtually all the classes, no pun intended, will be online. We're struggling at Cabrillo with what we call the H2C classes. There's an H2C committee, you know, kind of like H2O. There's an H2C committee, which stands for hard to convert. And the H2C committee has recently been formed, and they are going to be examining dozens, or unfortunately, maybe hundreds of what we call H2C courses. Most of the digital media courses are what we call not H2C courses, but they're fairly easy to teach online. The courses that are not easy to teach online or impossible to teach online are things like courses with labs that you have, like, let's say an anatomy course where you actually work on a cadaver. That's like really hard to do online. Some of the nursing courses with these very important and intense labs are hard to do, impossible to do online. Even some art studio courses. How do you do pottery with throwing clay on a wheel, you know, online? You know, so there are a lot of courses which are very difficult, if not almost impossible, to convert to online. And so those courses are being examined course by course, and they will be looked at by this new committee over the summer to see how they can be transitioned to online. My guess is that some of them can be and some of them can't be. So, but for all intents and purposes, pretty much everything will be online in the fall. I know, and the CSUs have already announced that as well. I don't imagine that's going to change. The question mark will be, when will the campus start to open up slowly for the support centers, the CTC, the library, the hub, tutorial centers, that kind of stuff. That would be the first phase of anything opening on campus, and even that doesn't have a timeline yet. So it's unclear if that will start in the fall or not. And Anne, since you work in maybe Debbie too, I don't know, you guys that have done the tutoring in the CTC and stuff, and the tutorial centers or whatever, however, maybe you have more information on that than I do. But to my knowledge, there's no timeline for that.
I had heard that it was going to open, and then late that they're not going to open the CTC.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, as you can imagine, there's no game plan. There's no template for this situation. A lot depends on the guidance from the chancellor's office and from the governor's office And those guidelines are starting to come out. They're starting to be reformed. They're starting to get more specific. But you know as much as I do in some of that stuff.
And
So
the word this morning was the clean tools in the makerspace, like the 3D printers, are going to be moved into the CTC, which didn't make any of us happy.
yeah, well, you know what's going on is there are two things going on. One is COVID.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
budget.
bye, Katerina. Yeah.
Right.
One is COVID, and COVID is, you know, has changed everything, as you can see. But the other big deal is the budget cuts that are looming, and they're serious. They're massive, and they're related to COVID, and they're not related to COVID. We had a major budget shortfall being projected before COVID hit, and that was already in the works due to a variety of factors. COVID has exacerbated that incredibly. So now the state budget, which was already not looking that great for community colleges a year ago, is now being tremendously impacted by the shutdown, by COVID. You can imagine the tax receipts are down, people are out of work, the costs are up. And so the governor is putting out this 10% cut message for higher education right now. So we're looking at a 10% cut. Well, a 10% cut is huge. A 10% cut is huge. It's just massive. And there's a new, okay, so the last time anything on this kind of scale happened was in 2011, 2012, when we had the massive budget cuts back then. And that's when the college shrunk a bit, and they put together what's called the PI Committee, Program Improvement and Effectiveness. And it's a great, yeah, which was really about how to cut programs. They're putting together the new PI Committee as we speak to look at how Cabrillo can shrink in the near future. And when you get to cuts of a 10% magnitude, you go beyond the, we're just going to make some across the board cuts here and there for every department. You start to enter the realm of, can we afford to keep all the departments that we have? At a certain point, the across the board cuts around the edges become less efficient. And at a certain point you say, well, if we're going to cut this already small program here and there, can we really even afford to have that program? Or do we merge that program with another program? Do we get rid of the program, and so forth? So what Ann said about the makerspace being moved into the CTC, well, that's a result of the cuts. So if they start laying off people that work in the makerspace, what happens? Does it go away, or does it get merged into something else? And that's what we're looking at right now, and across the board. So
Yeah,
you know,
I'm in Jason's
I can only hope there'll be a digital media program in another year from now, but everything's on the table. So I'm sorry, Amanda.
I was just saying I'm in Payson's class, who's in, you know, he basically built the makerspace and was telling us, you know, that the two paid people there may not have jobs moving forward, and he's trying to figure out a way for them to be funded and just, you know, mimic what you just said. And he's like, I don't want that resource to go away for students, you know? So
Yeah, for students and the whole community. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's happening all over. I mean, so I'm not kidding when I say that this is the biggest crisis in the history of the college. This is without a doubt, the college has existed since 1959. This is the biggest crisis in the 60 some years of the history of the college. And there are there's an incredible amount of energy going into how to deal with this whole, I mean, it's like a 1-2 punch, the economy, COVID, and you can't separate them now. And the California budget, that 10% round of cuts, that just may be the beginning, because we don't know how the state budget is going to look a year from now even. I mean, this hasn't been, you know, somebody said we're in the second inning of this COVID thing. I mean, we don't know how this is going to play out. We really don't. And so the school system is a creature of the state. We are entirely a creature of the state. The state budget is now maybe impacted by what happens at the federal level, because the Newsom message that he just put out on the 10% cuts for higher ed, well, that's based on us not getting money from the feds. So what they're doing right now at the federal level is is going to directly impact our cuts at Cabrillo. So if the Democrats and Trump can't agree on a package to throw a lot more money at the states, those 10% cuts are the beginning, right? If at the federal level in the next few weeks or month, they can come up with a package that funnels money to the state governments, then that may save some of the cuts that we're looking at implementing very soon. So everything is in flux. We don't know how it's going to play out, except that whatever happens, there will be cuts of some magnitude, and they may be extreme. So we'll see, like the makerspace, we'll see programs perhaps disappear. We'll see a lot of layoffs. All that's being discussed right now. It's going to be an awful summer of those kinds of talks. And the meeting I was kind of just ending when this class started, that meeting I was in, that was an American Federation of Teachers meeting of the Higher Education Committee, which I'm on, which again is looking at this at a federal level and how that's all working out. So that was kind of, that's why I really wanted to kind of be in that meeting just before our class started. And there's so much going on at all levels that our heads are swimming. And, and then there's all the personal stuff, all this COVID stuff, all the disruption in our own lives and our own work lives outside of Cabrillo. I don't know what's happening with you guys. If it's as bad as what's happening with everybody else, it's just major. So we're all in this huge transition. So we're managing as best we can, but it's affecting everything. It's affecting you personally. It's affecting you socially. It's affecting our jobs. It's affecting our schools. This is unprecedented. I have worked in education for a long time, and this is unprecedented on all levels. This is a defining crisis of many of our lifetimes. So, I think we're not sure how this is all going to play out yet. We don't know. Will there be a vaccine? Will it be another 2 years before everybody's vaccinated? Will we be doing this kind of shelter in place on and off for 2 years, depending on how the cases go up and down? I mean, will we reopen and then close again, depending on what happens? Nobody knows. So it's kind of a crazy time. I'm just glad I don't live in a state where one of these really bizarro governors just say, oh, we're just going to reopen everything. And so what if the hospitals get overwhelmed? Who cares? We need the economy moving. At least I'm not in that kind of situation, which I can be thankful for. But it's bad out there. So be careful.
That's why when people say, why should I worry about politics? It's like all this stuff you just said about higher education and schooling, and people don't realize like the ramifications of what you not caring about politics, what that impact looks like now in our community. I mean, think about like if our community loses Cabrillo or loses a big chunk of Cabrillo, like what that looks like for, all the people that live here. We no longer have that resource, or it's not as robust or strong or, whatever it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
People weren't involved. And, I think back to the, this past election, there is a measure for Cabrillo College for, repairs and stuff, and it didn't pass. And it, just barely failed. And I think now, like, their budget cuts from the state, like if something bad happens at Cabrillo, that's like, if we have, God forbid, like an earthquake in the middle of all this, or there's more pipes, there's definitely no money now to cover any of that. So there could be structural damage to Cabrillo that like we can't recover from because there's no financing for it. It's just,
And our enrollments have been dropping significantly for a number of reasons. Demographically, the high schools are not graduating more students anymore. That's flattened. And this is not just in Santa Cruz, but especially in Santa Cruz, the housing prices have become very expensive. So new families looking to buy a starter home, they can't do that in Santa Cruz. You can't move here with young children and buy a house and everything's cool. People simply can't afford to do that here and many other communities in California. So the demographics are shifting. There are fewer children now entering the school system, fewer people graduating high schools. We get fewer enrollments. And our enrollment also determines our funding to a large degree. So besides the craziness of the crisis situation that we're in, our general enrollments have been dropping. We were traditionally above 10,000 full-time equivalent students. Our new number is about 8,500 full-time equivalent students. We used to be like 10.8, now we're like 8.5. And so we've had that funding has been constantly decreasing over the last couple of years as our enrollments have dropped and the demographics have shifted in the community. So it's been a kind of a confluence of events that have just battered the school, and it's all coming together in a very negative way. You know, who knows what's going to happen? Sometimes positive things happen out of big crises. Sometimes not. So I don't really know. I've been reading a lot about. In my light reading, I've been reading a lot about the Spanish flu. 1918.
You have free time?
Yeah, so I can read about the Spanish flu. It's my entertainment, my uplifting stuff. And the only situation that's fairly akin to what we have now is 100 years ago, and the Spanish flu. And what happened there was the same exact dynamic. They shut things down. People were like antsy, can't keep everything shut down, so they started to reopen. They reopened early, and then the second wave was much worse.
Yeah, it was bad in San Francisco too, wasn't it?
And yeah, it was. And so that history to me is like, uh-oh, because we may be repeating that, because that's just the way things seem to work.
One of the interesting statistics on that was that the states and places, the cities that closed down the earliest and stayed down the longest as far as sheltering, economically were the healthiest.
Yeah, over the longer run, exactly right. So in the short run, yeah, exactly right. That's one of the history lessons that I've been reading about. Some cities like Philly, where I'm from, they tried to keep everything open, and then they got hit with a second wave that was just massively huge. So I have no idea how it's going to play out in California, and also how it plays out in the rest of the country. The travel situation is not what it was 100 years ago. You have some weird virus in some corner of China. It shows up in the U.S. a week later, right? I mean, that didn't happen 100 years ago in the same way. So we're in a whole new situation, and it's a bit scary for my taste. It's very scary. So keep yourself safe. It's scary out there. We don't really know how this is going to play out. We really don't. I have no idea. Except that I have no idea. It's the only thing I know for sure is I have no idea. I sing in a choir. One of the most unhealthful activities to spreading the virus is a choir and singing. When you sing, you expel the virus a lot longer than 6 feet. The median age of my choir, as many choirs, is a bit older than I am even. And, a demographic that's, more vulnerable. And there are people in my choir that are like, well, can we start singing again in the fall? And I'm like, are you crazy? It's hurtful for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people are in denial too. And you see it when you walk around town and nobody's wearing a mask. Yeah. So, yeah, it's.
John, you'll be happy to know that the same scenario occurred in, 1465, the bubonic plague. I just finished reading a book about it, and
it's light reading, right?
Yeah, it is very light reading. Same politics, same economics.
Yeah.
Same kind of spread, actually.
Yeah, and
economy.
Yeah, and the thing about the bubonic plague, my understanding, I didn't read the book about it. My brief understanding of it is that it's a lot deadlier than what we have now. But there wasn't this 2-week asymptomatic phase where it spread. I mean, I think when you got the plague, you kind of got it, right? I mean, it wasn't like you had it for 2 weeks before you died and figured it out.
It was fairly quick, yes.
So, but it was also very deadly. Where this virus is not as deadly, but it spreads asymptomatically for weeks, and so it's extremely contagious.
It's well designed, the virus.
Yeah, so it's because it's just there's no way to know if you've got it or not until in a sense it's you've been spreading it around, and yeah. Okay, anyway, on that light note, we should let you guys go. So
I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna end. Thank you all. You've been great. If I don't see you, have a great summer, and I hope to see you soon though, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good evening.